Hi there, I'm Tricia at Club Scrap with the Lakes Special Edition Page Kit. This is a remix of a kit that we've done a while back and it was extremely popular, and when that happens we sometimes like to re-release it again, perhaps with a refresh on the design, maybe a different color palette, and some updated goodies. So that is what we've got here, some beautiful ribbons set up, and then one of my favorite scrapbooking embellishments. These are by Dazzles and they are jewel stickers. On the sheet they don't look like a heck of a lot, but once you get them on your pages they're absolutely gorgeous, and plus I love that they're zero dimensional. They're super flat but yet they really pack a nice punch. I have a whole package of those, and I think we've got about a half a dozen of these really sweet little wood banner tags, and those are laser cut. And then from the charms and embellishments department, we've got some fun little fishing swivels, 3 adorable little miniature silver fish charms, and then a couple of charms that have text on them. So those are the goodies, and I'm going to set all of that aside while we prep all of the paper for trimming and page assembly. Now to get going, I've got, of course, the Fisker's Guillotine Trimmer, which you'll really want for best results with my method, as well as my accordion pocket file. This is held vertically underneath my trimmer by that flap right on the front edge of it. So, and I've got even Velcro to keep it from tipping backwards, and that's what has 4 pockets, keeping us organized while we trim everything needed for all 4 double page spreads. And I've got my instructions here. So if you're here for the first time, you may want to just slow me down by pushing on the gear-shaped icon on your YouTube playback channel, and you can adjust the playback speed to a 0.75 or 0.5. Makes me sound pretty chill. And I'll slow everything down so that you can tackle this at a speed that's more comfortable for you. Of course, the more you do this, the more comfortable you will get, and you'll become more and more efficient, which is kind of the whole goal here. So let's just grab all of the paper that came in the Lakes kit, and I'm just going to hold it off of my work surface so I can see it easily from the top edge. Definitely the easiest way to find and sort everything out. From that pile, I want you to find one of these beautiful map prints. This is the map, and then in the instructions it will show you what that map print looks like. So I'm just going to take one of those and put it face down on my trimmer base. You'll see it's white on the other side. Then I'm going to find the fish print. So there's 2 of those, but we only need 1 at this point. I'm going to place that face down on my trimmer. Next, dig back for a sheet of this beautiful white. This has a gorgeous texture to it, so you're going to really appreciate that when you find it. Now we're going to look for a dark aqua. And with all the blues here, I just want to go over that, how to differentiate them. And there's a teal, and the teal, in my opinion, this is the darkest shade of blue in the set. Then we have the 2 aquas, the dark and light aqua, and then there's the pale blue. So just to make sure you grab the right color that we're looking for. So I want you to take both of the dark aquas. So it's not as dark as the teal, but it's the darkest one after that. Next, grab a green. One green here. Next, find another white. This is, again, has the beautiful texture. It's exceptionally heavy paper. You can even hear it. And I'm going to put that texture side down just so that it's up for later. And then that really super dark teal piece, we're going to bring that one in. There's only 1 of those. It is a beautiful color though. And next we have some cut aparts. So I want you to find the one that has the 6 fishing lures on one of the corners. Put that face down. And then the other single sheet of cut aparts. This has some journaling prompts and some border strips. And continuing to sort what remains in our arm here, I'm going to take the other map print face down, and then one of the light aqua planes, then 2 pale blue. So that is the lightest shade of blue in the set. Then 2 green. So there were 3. We're going to trim 1, and the other 2 are used as a base for layouts 3 and 4. And then finally, let's come in with this other light aqua, and then the final fish print. We'll put that face down. So again, if I went too fast, just go back and watch it again and work at your own pace, your own speed. The idea behind this is to have the paper in the order it will be used so that we avoid hunting things down before every single step. So the first step, speaking of, is to go ahead and trim this map print. So let's take this print, and the way I have it pictured in my trimming instructions is that the text is running sideways so that you can see it clearly kind of at the bottom. The map is more here and there's text running this way. And we'll go ahead and find 7 3/4. If you're new to the trimmer, just make sure you're looking at the inches, not the centimeters. Make your way from 7 to 7 1/4, 7 1/2, 7 3/4, noticing that every 1/4 inch there's a column. That's really, really helpful. So you should be close to 8. 8's the nearest number you should see, and then we're at 7 3/4, making sure our paper is flush against this top edge. Stabilize on that clear bar before every single cut, and just slice it. Now we're going to move this paper down to 3 3/4. So same thing, I find the whole number 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 3/4 is what we're looking for. Line it up. Make sure your paper's level at the top. Okay, now this piece, this doesn't have much text on it. This is going to go in pockets 7 and 8. And if you don't have the accordion pocket file to file into, just start 4 piles, and 1 for each double page spread. Maybe have a post-it note and label them, or a piece of scrap paper or something. But this is going in my 4th pocket labeled 7 and 8. And then the other 2 pieces that you created will be placed in pocket 3 and 4. Since the pocket file is only 12 inches wide, I'm going to file this at an angle so that it comes out the side on this end and I can still see the numbers on the pocket. Next, take the fish print, and this time we're instructed to put it into the trimmer so that the fish are basically upside down, and we'll cut at 8 inches. Basically, I'm just separating the fish kind of off the end there. This large 8-inch piece is used in layouts 1 and 2. Maybe I'll even just set it aside because it's so big. And then this other piece with the fish on it will be in 5 and 6. Okay, now we're doing a nice easy cut with our white. And again, this is a nice super heavy weighted paper, so it might feel like you have 2. And this is just 1 sheet with this beautiful texture. We'll cut it at 6. We're just slicing it in half at 6 inches. Again, stabilizing. Then take the 2 pieces you created. They are the same, or they should be, and we'll trim them at the same time at 8 and 4. So we just made a half a dozen photo mats here. Nice and easy. Okay, so let's get these filed. We'll place 2 of them in pocket 1 and 2. We've got 1 in pocket 5 and 6, and the remaining 3 are used in 7 and 8. Then let's take 1 of the dark aqua. You have 2 that are right next to each other. Just make sure you have 1. And our first trim here will be at 11. And then all the way down to 6. And rotate the 6 by 12 so it's horizontal. We'll trim at 8 and 4. Let's file 1 of these 4 by 6s in pocket 1 and 2. One of them goes in 3 and 4, and the other goes in 5 and 6. Then let's take this strip that's next to the trimmer base. This is a 5 by 12, and let's cut this one at 9 1/4, 6 1/2, and 3 3/4. So this largest piece that we just created, this is going to be filed in 3 and 4. Then we have 2 pieces that are pretty narrow. These are the same size. One will go in 5 and 6, and the other 7 and 8. There's one more that was the same size. This one we're just going to cut it in half at 2 1/2. And both of these will go in pocket 3 and 4. There is one more 1 by 12 strip that's used on layout 7 and 8. Okay, now we have the other dark aqua. So let's trim this one at 10 1/2. And 6 1/4. This is a real popular move here. Now rotate this piece so it's horizontal and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. That does give me 2 pieces that are the same size, and these will go in 5 and 6. Then there's one more narrower piece we'll trim at 4 to make a square. Both of these pieces are used in layouts 7 and 8. I guess this isn't quite a square. It's almost. So both in 7 and 8. Okay, now with this other wide piece, this is 4 1/4 by 12 right now, and we'll cut at 11 3/4, 9 1/4, and 6 1/4. So this larger piece goes in pocket 5 and 6. Make it gradually skinnier. This next one goes in 1 and 2. And after that, this 2 1/2 by 4 1/4 goes in pocket 5 and 6. And I regret to inform you that this is a scrap. Finally, this 1 1/2 by 12, that will be used in layout 5 and 6. And we're on to the green. We're going to start out very similarly to the last piece. So we're going to trim up 10 1/2 and 6 1/4. Rotate and cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. 2 photo mats here going in pocket 7 and 8. And then this last rectangular piece we're going to trim, let's see, 5 3/4 and 3 1/2. There's our square. That's going in 1 and 2, along with the other smaller rectangle, also 1 and 2. And again, there is a tiny little scrap for that. I apologize. Okay, now we're moving on, taking this next strip. This is 4 1/4 by 12 right now. Let's make a photo mat. So we're going to trim at 6 1/4. And this one goes in pocket 1 and 2. The shorter mat is going to go in 7 and 8. And then this wide strip here, that goes in 1 and 2. We've moved on now to page 3 of our instructions. We only have 2 more regular sheets of paper to trim, 2 cut aparts, and we're ready for assembly already. So this goes very quickly. And we're going to start with this one at all the way at 11 3/4. And then 10 1/2 and 6 1/4. So you'll notice every single time I'm trimming, my hand is stabilizing, especially with this heavier weight paper. It's so important for a nice straight cut. We'll rotate this piece so it's horizontal and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Just created 2 pieces for pocket 3 and 4. Then the rectangle, we'll trim this time at 6 and 3. Okay, these 2 rectangles are the same size and are also used in layout 3 and 4, followed by a tiny little scrap again. And now let's pick up that 4 1/4 by 12. This one, we're going to start out at 11 3/4 again. And then 9. And finally 6 1/4. Let's take this photo mat. We're going to place that in 3 and 4 with the others. Now we have 2 rectangles here that are the same size, and we're going to trim them together horizontally at 4 and 2. I think this looks a lot harder than it is in the sketch. All right, so all of these squares or rectangles, we're going to put them all again in pocket 3 and 4. We did create 2 more smaller scraps, and we have these 2 strips. The wider one goes in 3 and 4, and the skinnier one, 1 and 2. Let's move on to this dark teal. The last piece we're going to cut into a lot of narrow strips, so bear with me. Again, we're going all the way to 11 3/4, then 11, 10 1/4, 9 1/4, 8 1/4, 7 1/2, and 4. Wow, that was a lot of cuts. Let those papers pile up without moving them for the best results here. Now take the 4 by 12. This is going to be nice and easy. We'll cut at 9, 6, and 3. So again, that's 9, 6, and 3. Okay, so gather up the pieces. These are all the same, and they're going to be distributed pretty much 1 to each pocket. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. The next piece, I'm going to carefully pick this one up. This is 3.5 by 12. We'll cut at 11 and 3/4, 11, 8 and 1/4, 5 and 1/2, 2 and 3/4. Okay, now we've made a series of 4 rectangles that are the same going into pocket 5 and 6. Then there is a small, really pretty small piece and a really tiny piece. The small one is used on layout 1 and 2, believe it or not, and then this is scrap. Then the very next piece I'm going to pick up should be 3/4 of an inch. I can see that 5 is at 3/4 here. I'm going to trim this horizontally. Now, when you have your paper up here, it can be difficult to know whether you're getting the right measurement. So if you want, you can bring the paper down a little bit so you can see better. And we're looking for 11. Then 8 and 1/4, 5 and 1/2, 2 and 3/4. And you're thinking, what in the world are you doing, Tricia? And I have a plan. I promise I always have a plan. We made 4 strips. These are all the same size, and they go in pocket 3 and 4. And again, there is just a really small little rectangle that's left at the end. Now the remaining pieces, I'm going to just pick them all up at once and put them in the palm of one hand so I can sort of deal them out like cards. So the next 2 pieces are the largest that remain in the stack. These are 1 by 12. And they're both going to be used in layout 3 and 4. Then there are 2 more pieces that are the same. These are skinnier. And these are used in pocket 7 and 8. And then this really, really narrow strip, we're going to add that to 5 and 6. The next step is to, I will tell you, there's another little, this is a scrap from before, so no worries about that. Okay, so this cut apart here, now if you look carefully at every single corner on all of our cut aparts, you can see this, maybe you can't see, I don't know, hopefully you can. Do you see the little X there? X marks the spot. We want to trim right along that line, right along that intersection. I'm going to just do somewhere close to that line first, because I need to take a little bit off of this paper so I can see exactly where the next X is lining up with my blade. So here I'm going to try to slice right through it, and I'll rotate again. And slicing, I'm just aligning the blade with the crosshairs. I could have a little hair off of that yet. And then rotating again. This time I can look over here at 12 inches, and it should match up with the blade lining up with the artwork. And then one more rotation, cutting exactly at 12. Nice. I'm going to go ahead and dispose of all these little scraps. And now I'm starting out with a nice 12 by 12 ready to go. So I will take this piece, make sure the green is in the upper left corner, and our first cut should be at 8. And just double check to make sure that the blade is not going through any critical art. And then slide down to 4 3/4. Rotate so that this life is simple will be upside down on your right. We'll cut at 9 1/2, 7, and 3 1/2. Now let's take this green portion and then the oval shape. Both are used on layout 3 and 4. And then we have this aqua piece with the fish and fishing rod on it. That's 7 and 8. And then the fish with the quote here, life is simple, that's 5 and 6. The next piece I'll pick up and we'll trim, making sure that Uric hatch is on the right. We'll cut at 11, then 9, 7, and 3 3/4. Okay, castaway, that's 7 and 8. The 2 fish and the anchor, both of those go in 1 and 2. The tag and then the little piece that says Uric hatch, they both go in 7 and 8. Okay, next, better to wake at the lake is on the right here for our first cut at 10.5, then 8.25, and 5.5. Okay, day at the lake restores the soul, 7 and 8. The lake is always a good idea, 1 and 2. Go jump in the lake, 5 and 6. That sounds like fun, actually. And then better to wake at the lake, 1 and 2. Now, we have one more sheet of these cut apart. So we're going to do the same exercise. Find those little plus signs at the end. Align the edge of your blade, the right side of your blade, with this line to remove about 1/8 of an inch from the entire perimeter. I'm going to go ahead and do that on all 4 sides here. Okay, let's make sure this is going into the trimmer now with that perimeter removed. We're going to have keeping it real should be on the right side to remove the narrow strips first. And our initial cuts at 10 3/4, then 9.5, 9, 8.5, 7 3/4, 7, and 3.25. Okay, so this large piece here goes in 1 and 2. And then this next strip has all these little words at the end, and these need to be trimmed up into 1/4 inch pieces. So I'm just going to start at 11 3/4. And just double check here to make sure I'm fine tuning this. 11.5. 11.25, 11. That was nice. Okay, then 8.25, 5.5, and 2 3/4. Okay, lots of cuts there. This first one, if you're not barefoot, you're overdressed. That's 3 and 4. We have a horizontal journaling prompt here. That's going in 1 and 2. And we have another journaling prompt. The fish is on the top. That's going in 7 and 8. A vertical prompt going in 5 and 6. Now, we have all these little pieces of word art. And in order to understand what goes where, you're going to need a magnifying glass, or just follow along with me. I'm grabbing a scissors here. And at this point, I'm just going to cut them in half with scissors. It's not a big deal. No, I didn't use less work. So, I don't know, find a home for that. All I need is, that's 3 and 4. Then we have more water and tall trees. I'm going to cut that one in half, and they both go in pocket 3 and 4. And then you've got swim, 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 and lake breeze. So I'm going to separate these. Swim, swim, swim. That goes on 1 and 2. And lake breeze, 3 and 4. Then you've got fish, 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 and I'm on a boat, separating those two. The fish go in 5 and 6. I'm on a boat, 1 and 2. I know those are really little bitty details, and it's okay if you just want to blow that off for right now and wait till you're adding your finishing touches and do your own thing. Of course you can do that, but sometimes people find that information really helpful, so I make sure I include it. Now we have these 2 title strips here, Memories Are Made and Wind in Our Hair. Both of those, 3 and 4. We have 2 just artsy strips. Those go in 7 and 8, both of them. Then you have the fishing lures without words. That goes 1 and 2. And then the other one that says Keeping It Real. I use that in 5 and 6. That's the last piece that needed to be cut and filed. Hallelujah. So now we're going to skip ahead, way ahead now, to the final page of our instructions, page 5. And we're going to start by assembling pages 7 and 8. We're going to stack up all those pages and keep distributing the pieces to the layouts until we end with layout 1. At that point, you can fly solo on finishing assembly with your adhesive, your pictures, your journaling, your memories, that kind of thing. So I'll get rid of the trimmer. I'm going to be careful, though, to support the accordion pocket file. I'll lock my blade and then just move it away from the file while I hold it. Because the trimmer, again, is what's holding it upright. And I don't want that falling on the floor if you're working with a narrow table that's not against a wall like mine is. And here we have the remaining paper that we had sorted out in advance when we were preparing. So this entire stack of remaining paper is also in that specific order. So you can do what I call the stack and slide here. So I'm taking the whole entire stack of paper, all the sheets, and then I'm going to place it to the left of the center of my workspace and slide the top sheet over. So I should have the map on the right and then this light aqua on my left. And that matches what's specified in the layout for 7 and 8. So you're making sure you're looking at the bottom half of page 5 so you can get a visual of what we're trying to accomplish with the items that we have filed in pocket 7 and 8. So we'll work our way back to front, and that way we end with layout number 1 where we want it right on the top. I hope that makes sense. If you're new to us, this is kind of the method that we do every time, and it really seems to work well. I've seen it work well in class environments, in my workshops, and even just for myself if I'm doing this. This is how I do it when I'm not having to, come up with it. Okay, so what we're going to do first is place this map print down on the bottom of the page. You can do it whichever direction you feel is correct for you. Above that, I'll put one of these dark aqua strips. It's a little bit wider. Then we have this nice dark teal, followed by this decorative strip here from the cut aparts. If you have you should have 2 green photo mats. So place those horizontally. They should be the same size. And then another green one should fit there, along with the sentiment should nest right in there. Do you see it? Frame up there perfectly. A Day at the Lake restores the soul. Then we have the dark teal mat. Should match beautifully with our little journaling prompt. Then there should be a pretty small piece of that dark aqua that will likely match the basic size of the tag. Now what I did earlier is trimmed away the corner of the cut apart and then the corner of the tag as well. And then on top of that, I've layered the You're a Catch. I did also add some of the jute. This is the jute to the top of the Life is Better at the Lake charm, and that kind of went in there as well. Added some dazzles. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, now on the other side, I have these pre-cut white here with the linen texture, just so beautiful. 2 of them are vertical and kind of overlapping, and then 1 is horizontal. Now to balance this little strip that I have going on here, I'm going to reflect that on the right in a vertical way. It's kind of bent a little. Place that vertically on there. And to the right of it, I should be able to fit the fish nesting on that panel, and then this castaway has a nest as well. That's going to go there. We can add some ribbon. Let me show you the finished layout, starting with layout 8. Here it is. Now, you can see that the photo mats here are white, just pretty basic, just nesting things. And I took some of this beautiful ribbon and just trimmed off a small piece and folded it in half and stapled it right onto this tag here. You can add a picture there if you wish, or just allow that to finish your page for you. And then every inch or so, maybe 3/4 of an inch, I used a craft knife to peel off one of the dots, one of the Jewel Dazzle stickers, and I just placed them on. And I just, went ahead with my grid ruler, just so you can see here, in advance of sticking them on, I took the grid ruler first and used a pencil to just mark a dot every 3/4 of an inch so that they were nice and evenly spaced. I think that looks really nice. It didn't take long to just do that little extra step to get those placed perfectly, but I think they have a really nice nautical feel to them. Now on the page 7, the facing page, here it is. I'm using the larger Dazzles stickers to act as sort of like nails in the sign. I love that look. I didn't repeat that going across here. Too much of that border was covered, but I did add some to my prepared tag. And again, it adds so much. Here is that jute-topped charm. Now here, I punched a hole once I had everything prepared and nested on the tag. And I just threaded this really cool ribbon. This has this neat fringed edge. It's an organza with a fringy edge, really kind of fun. So I just threaded it through and wrapped the ends around to the back. Okay, so the stack and slide method, with us pretty much having everything temporarily in their place here, I'm going to take only that light aqua piece just that one base of this page, and slide it on top of layout 8. That should reveal a light blue, the lightest blue color, which I'll then take 1 and slide it over. And now I have in front of me the base for layouts 5 and 6. So then I just need to go to the pocket labeled 5 and 6 and take everything out. And oh, don't forget the fish. It's really little down in the bottom there. Okay, now I'm just, again, I find it's easiest to distribute things from your hand rather than from the tabletop. That's why I just sort of arrange things in my palms. I can see and sort of file through a little more easily. And right away across the top of the left side, I'm going to take the 4 dark teal pieces. They're kind of smallish. They're all the same size. And we'll run this vertically. And what's nice about the size of these pieces is I've calculated it to fit across the top with equal spacing all the way through. That's a 2 3/4 inch width. And look how nice that looks. So beneath that, I can easily add this dark aqua strip along with the title of the page, keeping it real. Love that so much. Now, I have 2 dark aqua mats, just vertically placed. This journaling prompt should have another teal piece in here. There it is. This dark teal should nest with that nicely. And I did take a couple of those Jewel Dazzle stickers and added them in a few spots on here to kind of make it pop a little bit. On this side I have another vertical mat. The fishy border goes onto the right, and we can just differentiate that with the dark 1/4 inch strip there. Across the bottom, let's see, one of these pieces here, this is the larger of the 2 aqua. It should nest. So this is the vertical one. Slightly smaller. Here we have a mat for these guys, and then a mat for Go Jump in the Lake, which I'm going to tuck behind here. Then I took this fish, and I actually trimmed a piece of the green to fit. So if I just take some scissors and I add a little pinch, take a V out of the short edge, out of one short edge, like that. And we can add our fish. Then if you take this beautiful ribbon, I have scissors I use just for fabric and ribbon, and I cut a little V out of that. I can nest the paper onto the ribbon, and then this onto the paper, and all of this sort of gets tucked right underneath here for a really cool embellishment where I was able to upgrade a scrap and use it right on the page. I'll probably go back and update the instructions about using the green right there to avoid confusion for people who don't watch the video. But yes, that little green scrap was used, and it really looks great. I could probably find a way to use like some of these other ones as well in the same fashion, but either way, you get the idea here. So let's take a look at our finished page. You can see the ribbon / paper / cut apart combo. I used the tiniest sized dot, and isn't that beautiful? I love that. This is, again, every 3/4 of an inch along that piece. And you can just skip, you don't have to put it behind there if you add it after the page is assembled. Now here we have the charms and a fishing swivel. From my stash, I used a brad to attach it to the page. Now this fishing swivel, you have to have a pretty strong hand to get this. It almost works like a safety pin. I could barely get that open. So if you happen to have like a small pliers or something in the garage or somewhere that allows you to open that more easily, then just thread the fish charm onto the swivel, and then again use the pliers to close it again. I'm trying to do it so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So now he's stuck on there, and it's just as cute as can be, right? And then use a brad to just, from your stash, any color, white, silver, bronze, whatever, copper, whatever color brad you happen to have will work fine. I would have included him had I thought ahead, or you could sew it on with some of the jute that we have included in the kit. So that's the fishing swivel there. Now on the facing page, very simple, very basic placement of the tiniest of the dots here, and then some random in the non-writing area of the jewel dazzles right there. Very sweet. So let's pick this pale blue paper only. Pick that up. Slide. And then we have one green sliding over. So that should give us the base now for layouts 3 and 4. I'll empty pocket 3 and 4. Okay, we have quite a few elements in here, so just try to keep track of it all as best you can. I'll get rid of some of these larger pieces first. It looks like of them, I have got the largest of the two. Let me see. Yes, the largest of the two map prints on the lower right, and then the slightly narrower goes on the upper left, right along the edge there. And let's do some nested borders here. So we're going to go white on the left with the dark teal, and then the wind in our hair. On the right, we're skipping the white, but we're just going to go right to the dark teal, and the other strip that says memories are made at the lake. Now, 2 vertical mats will be placed right here at the bottom, and then 1 vertical on the right should have a buddy to nest with. Very nice. Adds a little color there. Now, there's a bunch of smaller and medium-sized white, so there should be 2 white rectangles the same size that nest perfectly into that spot. And if I add this one last piece here, I should be able to nest it with the lures. Now, this is a situation where if you have a picture to put on the spot, you know, put it there. I've got the picture size for you and the instructions already. On the left, we'll fussy cut this into an oval, not a big deal. And then 2 little friendly caption photos here. Nice. Let's see, how about a nester for our if you're not barefoot, you're overdressed can go here. Now this is really fun. I was so jazzed when I figured out a way to make this work. So here we have some alternating grid. Check this out. So teal on top, white on the bottom, white on top, teal on the bottom, and alternating that like bricks. Okay. Then, in your stash of goodies, there is a laser cut wood banner tag that just happens to fit perfectly. And then you can do, all I need is, and trim these to fit, let's see, more water, tall trees, and lake breeze. Or you could do, all I need is tall trees, more water, and lake breeze. However you want the text to work there. That's the essential components of the page. And if we take a look at finishing touches, here I used this to made a basic bow. And if you haven't met my Ribbon Basics video, you'll want to just visit our webpage. It's clubscrap.com/pages/ribbon. I'll put a link on the screen so you can see what that is. But that shows you how to make this basic bow. Look at those cute jewel dazzles. Again, they add so much. Added some jute, just a small bow at the end of each of these, is a little putsy, and then just trimmed out pretty closely the text and used my bookbinding glue and a needle tip applicator to attach it. And same for nesting the wood tag onto the paper. Doesn't that look just fantastic? Okay, now on this other one, here I have another swivel attached with a brad. Ahead of time, I punched through this and then threaded it with ribbon around, secured at the back, and then just glued on this charm that had been tied with the jute bow at the top. 2 more the largest jewel dazzles there. Okay, so time to slide over one last time. The base of green, and then we're at the light aqua here with our beautiful fish print. I'm going to empty pocket 1. And don't forget that you do have the other print that you trimmed, and it was just so big I had you set it aside. So make sure you grab that. And basically, I mean, I would just wallpaper that over quite a bit of this along with this to the right. So I can just see a nice border strip peeking through on all of that area. Now, let's see, down on the lower left here, I've got this white or green nested with the cut apart that has the fishing lures on it. And then I'm topping that with a white strip here. And to that strip, you can add some jewel dazzles evenly spaced. Again, maybe with that 3/4 inch spacing is nice. I will nest the journaling prompt onto the dark teal piece. Now, here I've got two white. This paper is so heavy that it almost feels like I have several sheets together. Okay, then we've got this vertical, horizontal green. There's a green square, which should nest with our fishy guys. We can take one of our banner tags. I think this one gets the "I'm on a boat." Again, if you have other captions you'd rather use, go for it. Let's see, on the left here, there's going to be this guy. Will nest with the lake is always a good idea. And then we have the tag. And we have this sweet piece that you can trim a little V into it and tuck that. This blue, what we should be able to do is add the little swallow's tail, basically by trimming a V. And then you can layer it on here. And if you want to use a trimmer, you can, or you can just carefully cut a straight line. And look at that, you just made this custom embellishment and rescued the paper from the bin, right? And then you can add your swim, swim, swim. How sweet is that? Let's look at our finished layout here. One more swivel attached with the brad from my stash. Look at that, isn't that darling? Here I took a small loop of the ribbon and just taped it in between just to add a touch of that dark teal to this side of the layout. Then on the left side, this is layout number 1, my friends. You can see the evenly spaced, the tiniest little dots. Here's the swim. And before attaching that, I did prepare this like a tag, so I trimmed away the corners of both the tag itself and then the green mat. Punched a hole and threaded this ribbon, wrap it around to the back. It's my favorite trick. There's no knot involved, and it just kind of adds a nice splash to the page. Now, before I leave you, I just want to give you a tip about using these. Now, a craft knife works really, really well, and I know a lot of you don't care for craft knives, but I promise this is not, you're not cutting with it. Just take the backing and just kind of bend back a little bit to get the tip of the blade to get to the sticker, and then you can easily transfer the item to your project. So even for these little ones, it's just easiest to grab it with the tip of your blade and then move it onto the item and just kind of apply it like that. Quick and easy, wonderful little weightless, dimension-free embellishment that I absolutely love for my pages and cards. I just can't, I love these in every single color, and if they match, I'm going to try to get them for you. So I hope you're not tired of them. I like them. They come in very classy shapes. Again, from the sheet, they don't look all that splashy, but they really do add a lot of fun to these layouts. So I hope you like them. And I hope you love these lakes pages. The lake is always a good idea. So get these pages done, add your pictures, and be sure to participate in our private Club Scrap Facebook chat group and share your finished projects there. We're always inspired by what we inspire you to make. So we'll see you there.